I want to read you guys something and have you guys tell me because Tony says the Dolphins cannot re-sign Tua. I want you to tell me which of these is most shocking. The last time the Dolphins won a playoff game, LeBron was a high school freshman. The Knicks were the defending Eastern Conference champions.
That one.
Hold on, Stugotz. I know you're the king of putting the jerk in knee jerk. Just hold on.
My bad.
The Houston Texans did not exist. Shaquille O'Neal had 0 championships. Tom Brady hadn't been drafted.
Wow.
That's a pretty good one.
Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
He played till he was 44.
Nick Saban was still at LSU, and Bill Belichick was in his first season with the Patriots. This is a good one. Metallica filed a lawsuit against Napster.
Napster.
Sony released the PlayStation 2. A dozen eggs, 89 cents.
I was a freshman in high school.
Alicia Keys had yet to release music. Billie Eilish wasn't born. What's the best of those? Still the Knicks were the defending Eastern Conference champions?
I think so, yeah. Our show hadn't started.
Tom Brady had not been drafted is pretty good. I think, let's see here, Steph Curry was 8th grade and Patrick Mahomes was 5 years old.
Mahomes being 5.
How about this? The top 3 songs on the Billboard 100 were, 2 of them were by Santana.
Great year for him, by the way. Banger of a year.
Wow.
Unbelievable year for him. and now everything gets thrown into total upheaval. And, Greg, I'm curious with your thoughts on this because last night you saw, and I'm having a hard time with this, Stugotz, quarterback evaluation has always been shitty. And now it seems to have gotten harder in a salary cap sport what you should pay the guys who may be in the class, in the realm of system quarterbacks. And when I see Jalen Hurts and that team collapse like that, and he's at $255 million, and he got the $255 million when that team was healthy and when that offensive line was the best in football. A.J. Brown leaves, and you're all of a sudden like, wait a minute, whoa.
Looks different, yeah.
And they gave him $255 million, and now their coach is at risk of being fired. And Adam Schefter wrote 6 weeks ago. He was safe, but things change. Because that collapse, I talked to Dominique about this on air last week, and I said, when's the last time you saw this? And he said, well, you see it every year. And I'm like, I don't see that every year, where a team I thought was the best in football is losing to Arizona and the Giants and then getting slaughtered when they go to a Tampa team that we know is just okay. Like, that I don't see every year. And Sirianni's job might indeed be in jeopardy. But I ask you, when I compare it to Jalen Hurts, because we all saw both of these quarterbacks in college, and all of us would have argued that Tua was the better talent than Jalen Hurts in college. And then Jalen Hurts gets into exactly the right system and gets $255 million, and now Tua's in exactly the right system, and I don't know how to judge him based off the last game, Stugotz, because I don't think it's fair to judge him off of those temperatures. Daniel Jeremiah said, among other things, that the playoff record of Drew Brees and Peyton Manning on the road, 2-5, and 3-5. When it's precision passing in bad weather, I don't make the assessment of my quarterback on that.
But the playoffs are the same time every year. You have to be good at that time, or else you're going to struggle.
And the entire country is cold except Miami.
Yes.
Well, that's why the Tennessee loss was the crusher. People keep pointing to Baltimore and Buffalo.
It was the Tennessee loss.
You need home games. Right. You need a bye. But you also need a quarterback who can win wherever. You need a when Buffalo plays Kansas City might get slaughtered, but the reason people think Kansas City has a chance in that game is because you believe in their quarterback.
Of course, yes. You believe Patrick Mahomes, even though he hasn't done it yet on the road, you believe Patrick Mahomes could stroll into your stadium and give your team a chance to win. And in all likelihood, Dan, he will. He will give his team a chance to win that game. I think it will be a close game. But yes, of course.
A lot of it depends on how you define quarterback and what kind of a quarterback you want. Jalen Hurts is better than Tua if you factor in the all-around game. Jalen Hurts is a true dual threat. The guy's got 40 rushing touchdowns. Tua brings you no legs, brings no legs to that position. And so by that measure, I would rather have Jalen Hurts. As a quarterback, as a passer, as an accurate passer, there's no question that Tua is the better quarterback. So what are you looking for in your quarterback?
Greg, the thing is, when the pocket breaks down for Tua, he doesn't have the ability to go to a second read in a way that Jalen Hurts can extend the play, get out of the pocket, and make something happen. I know this year has been tough because he's obviously hurt. Their offensive line isn't that good. And I think Sirianni's been exposed as he's had really good coordinators in the past. Look at Shane Steichen doing a lot of good stuff in Indy. And then Jonathan Gann on the defensive side over in Arizona. You're looking at now a coach who's kind of like in flux, but when you look at that and compare Hurts with Tua, we're connected. When you compare that with Tua just can't play in a muddied pocket.
Dan, one of my favorite pastimes is finding out how right I was. And I went back into a group chat that I had with you and Mina, and I said the Eagles run something very basic. They did all of last year. What set them apart was Jalen Hurts' decision-making, his precision, and it's only a matter of time before the NFL catches up to that. Now, it's very convenient to put it on the change in offensive and defensive coordinators there, but that is a pretty simple offense with a terrible route tree. I don't know how many times I've watched the Philadelphia Eagles this year and seen two receivers within 3 yards of one another. Yeah. And I know A.J. Brown gave voice to improvising and a lot of wide receivers in that system having freedom to do that. It's a disaster. It's the NFL caught up in a season and a half. And what set Jalen Hurts apart was just being super decisive. And when his protection isn't there, when people aren't picking up blocks.
When A.J. Brown isn't there.
That's huge, too.
No, it's giant.
Part,
it's not it. No, listen. Jalen Hurts got paid when A.J. Brown got there. A.J. Brown changed everything about our values on Jalen Hurts. Everything. Because a legitimate number one turning Goddard into a number 3 was something that made Jalen Hurts worth $255 million.
Jalen Hurts still had a pretty good season. Jalen Hurts is less than a year removed from outplaying Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. I don't know what we're doing here with Jalen Hurts. I think A.J. Brown not being there really hurts him. But
what we're doing is I think I'm drawing a comparison to how the RPO took over the NFL early on, and Colin Kaepernick looked unstoppable. And then you saw very smart defensive coordinators in this league catch up. It's what you do after defensive coordinators adjust in this league.
It's also, by the way, and this probably needs to be reiterated because our analysis of this stuff gets real shitty when we make it about the quarterbacks and winning and losing, and we forget what was happening to Philadelphia at linebacker. With their injuries, they couldn't defend or cover anybody. And what happened to the Dolphins with their injuries? And then everyone spends the entire offseason, because no one collapsed harder than the Dolphins this season except for the Eagles. That's a historic collapse to go from 10-1 to losing at home to bad football teams at the end of the season in games only you need. That is not something that I see every year, and it makes Jason Kelce retire. And it throws Sirianni's job into jeopardy.
It also feels like we're going to hear from Jalen Hurts' agent at some point this week about it's more than just his finger. He's more injured than you even thought. That just feels like it's going to happen.
Yep, today. Yes.